Hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to our eighth step in the home buying process, aka the mortgage process and commitment.
Right. So now, by working with a Celtics, you'll have gone through the pre-approval process. So at this stage, we've gone through the contract, and we have to get all of the paperwork, which we've already collected most likely at this point, into what's known as underwriting. Okay, underwriting is the stage where a human underwriter is going to review all of the data we've supplied, W-2s, pay stubs, tax returns, to ensure that you, as the borrower, meet the criteria of whatever program we happen to be going with. Once it comes out of underwriting, we're going to have what's known as a conditional commitment, or a commitment subject to some conditions. Two major conditions it's always going to be subject to are an appraisal and a title report. So we'll talk about an appraisal right now.
So, what is an appraisal? A bank is lending you money, right? Now, we all know banks like their money. They want to make sure that the loan they're giving you is pretty much the right type of loan. So if they're giving you $500,000, they want to make sure that the house is worth at least $500,000. They don't want to give you $500,000 if the house is worth $300,000. That's a bad investment on their part. Remember, a loan for them is an investment. So what happens with an appraisal is a third-party appraiser, okay? Appraisers actually go through their own tests. They are part of their own organization. Appraisers are there to make sure that the purchase price is actually worth, or the house is worth the purchase price that you were purchasing it for, okay? So they're not only there to help the bank, make good investments. They're there to make sure you're not making a bad investment as well. Many people, question whether an offer is too high when they put it in. Well, an appraisal is a good check for that, to make sure you're not overpaying for a home. Okay? Now, what happens is an appraiser comes, takes a look at a house. He looks at the whole house, and he does a comparable market analysis. So he compares it to homes that have sold in the last year and homes that have sold, closest to that time. So for example, if a house closed a month ago, that will be the best comparable for the home you're purchasing. They do a whole analysis, and they see where the houses are selling in that market, in that neighborhood. It could be a very small neighborhood. They look between, one side of a street, major street, to the other side of a major street. And all these things come together, and they come up with an appraisal.
Okay, so once we have the appraisal, that's going to then get reviewed by underwriting as well, to ensure that there's the property meets the criteria that the bank that's going to lend against it has set forth. Okay, let's assume in our example here that the appraisal's fine. Another major thing we're going to need is your title. The title and reported title policy is typically a insurance policy that protects the bank as well as the buyer, right? Assuming you buy the additional policy, which your attorney will advise you on what to do, and most likely you would do. So that policy is going to be an important piece of this, and assume that that's okay. That would be one of the other major pieces of the underwriting process.
Now, let me also say, if you're getting a mortgage, you need title insurance. You don't need title insurance if you're buying all cash, but anyone who's been in real estate even half a year will tell you, get a title policy, okay? What a title policy is, it's an insurance that the person that is selling you the home has the right to sell you the home. There are no liens on the property. A lien could be a mortgage, it could be a tax lien, it could be a constructor's lien. There are many different types of lien that could be put on a home that could hinder it from being sold, right? Not only that, there have been certain instances, and I've encountered some very weird instances where some people tried selling houses and they weren't even the owners, or they got sellers, they forged sellers' signatures. Okay, this is all insured by title. Okay, whatever if you're purchasing the house for $500,000, you buy it, you close on it. 5 years later, Joe Schmo comes along and says, "Hey, that's actually my house." You're saying, "No, I bought it 5 years ago." He's like, "Well, I was the owner. That person had no right to sell it." It sounds funny, but it happens.
Not
Believe
funny.
it or not.
If you're dealing with it, it's not funny at all.
So, title insurance actually insures, and they will give you all the money from the purchase price. Okay? They will either handle any litigation that needs to be handled. They'll come out of pocket if there are any losses or damages or anything. So title insurance is very important, and you only pay it once at closing.
And so to wrap up the mortgage piece for this process, after you have your commitment subject to conditions, we're going to clear all those conditions off, and then you're going to have what's known as a commitment, the actual commitment subject to no conditions, also known as a clear to close, meaning, hey, we've satisfied everything on this loan. We're now ready to clear to close. And then that will be the next video we're going to talk about when we schedule and actually go get toward the closing, next step toward the closing.
So tune in next week for the next step. Have a good one, guys.
Bye-bye.